Well, it's obviously frustrating to come back in here, and you know, after we keep putting ourselves in position to win games, and we're not stringing things together to finish it, and that's our job as coaches. We've got to get our guys to do a better job of executing, making things clear for our guys, so they can just go out and play and be able to execute in those key moments. Our guys want to win. We want to win for them. We want it for them. I will say this: they're playing extremely hard. They're giving great effort, and that's encouraging. They're giving us everything they got. And as I said earlier, we keep putting ourselves in position to win, and now we got to take steps into finding ways to finish it and to come away with those wins. And that's on us as coaches. But the only thing we can do is keep our head down and go back to work. I'm looking forward to the great challenge this week of playing a very talented Auburn team coming to town. Excited to get back home in front of our fans. Hog walk in the morning. We got a lot of recruits on campus. It's going to be great to get back home. Do appreciate our fans that traveled to Kentucky. And I know they're as frustrated as with the outcome as we are, but we're not going to flinch, and we're going to put our head down and we'll go back to work. And with that, I'll open up.
Commissioner Ham, we're going to make some questions. Coach, with so many close losses that you guys have had, do you start maybe exploring being more aggressive? Like maybe I'll take you back to the halftime, maybe trying to go down the field there, or I don't know, other things that are a little more aggressive?
Well, I think you go when you look at every option. You know, we keep putting ourselves in position to win a game, and then you look back at the small details that led to that. And obviously, right before half with 55 seconds, and they had all 3 timeouts, we had 2, and you know, my thought process really was to get a first down, and then to use our timeouts and see if we couldn't get a big play. When we got to 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, with them all 3 timeouts, I literally was waiting to see if he was going to call timeout and force us to play our 3rd down play or possibly punt the ball back to them and them just scoring off of the drive. So yeah, looking back on it, you know, sure you wish you would have maybe done a few things different right there, but I thought at that point with the momentum on their side, I was content with 3rd and 3 to get to half. But yeah, you go back and look. There's several opportunities. We had 2 drives in the second half. We were 2nd and 1, and we couldn't convert. And you know, that's an offensive down. We got to be able to convert 2nd and 1s, and whether that's being more aggressive, being better in some run fits, whatever it may be, that's on us as coaches to get fixed.
Hey, Chad, you said after the game, you know, the other night that you're going to reopen or reevaluate the quarterback situation. How do you divide the snaps this week with, I guess, the first and second team? How tough is it to sort of have a competition when you're also obviously in a game week mode for all?
Well, you know, Nick and Ben will get the 1 reps, and they were in here last night. Everybody was ready to get back to work last night, which was very encouraging. And so, with those guys getting a share of the 1 reps this week, you know, I think the whole thing is just, you know, consistency as a team, consistency as an offense, and that's really kind of what we're looking for in this. And you know, it is. You know, Bob, we're trying to stay out of this, but this is just kind of where we're at right now with it.
When you look at not finishing the games when you've gotten that close, what are the ingredients that are missing? What's going to put you over the top on these?
Well, and that's our job as coaches to go back and figure out, is it, you're 20 yards away from winning the last 2 games, and you put yourself in position to win there at the end, to win the majority of our games this season, all but one right there on that last drive. And whether it's a stop here, whether it's a conversion here, putting ourselves in position. Are we in the right play call? Do we have the right check? Are we doing too much? Are we not doing enough? And that's really kind of what it comes down to. And we've got to be able to find a way to get the ball in the end zone. And we're putting ourselves in that position. Now we got to finish the deal, and we haven't done that.
When you looked at Nick's performance, it looked like he was throwing behind on some of the slants. Was there something mechanical going on? What have you figured out from what made him have an off game?
I don't. He got hit early, but again, that's your quarterback. You understand those things. That has never rattled Nick. Nick's got an incredible arm, and he's got a great talent. Was his hips not open enough?
Welcome in. It's our Tuesday edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio, coming to you here on KDSJ 479. Yes, that's KDSJ 479. We're here Monday through Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. Actually, Tuesday through Friday, I should say, shouldn't I, D? Just Tuesday through Friday. But real quick, want to give a shout-out to all of our sponsors, as this would not be possible without you guys. Lindsay & Associates, with an office location in Fayetteville, an office location also, too, in Rogers. Locomotion is located just below the Northwest Arkansas Mall in Fayetteville. Corey-based custom painting. You need to look good, residential, commercial. I mean, it doesn't matter. He did our studio, and I'm talking about it looks gorgeous. So contact Corey Beck. You won't be disappointed. And our great sponsor, the one I'm really excited about, KDK's Chicken, located at 989 Razorback Road. Go down and see Kathy and Keith. And like I always tell you, get a plate of that love. And the motto that they go, it's not your mama's. I'm telling you, it definitely ain't. It's the best chicken in the South. But we came in with yesterday's media availability with head coach Chad Morris, talked about the disappointment, very disappointing loss on this past Saturday to the Kentucky Wildcats. Also, too, talked about the uncertainty and not knowing who the quarterback is as the depth chart came out, Ben Hicks or Nick Starkel. Coach Morris says that both Starkel and Hicks will get the 1 reps throughout preparation for this weekend's 11 a.m. kickoff versus the Auburn Tigers. And I want to bring in my guy, Demetrius. This is a bad deal. This is the second year in a row that you've had a quarterback in uncertainty. Now, and I've said it, and we briefed on it yesterday. I feel like Arkansas is in a stage now where I think KJ Jefferson, and John Stephen Jones need to have an opportunity. You made a point before we came on air, and I thought it was a great point. These guys, especially KJ, has 4 games and still get a red shirt. I'm of the belief, Coach Morris and the entire staff, it's a situation where you have nothing to lose for the duration of this year. You have 6 games, nothing to lose. I think you need to start playing a lot of younger guys, the Catalans. I think Eric Gregory should be in the rotation. Amonte Spivey, and even, it may sound crazy, but I'm going to say it, Hudson Henry, I think needs to have an opportunity. These are guys that are going to be your future if you're able to withstand possibly this year and next year, which I think, Demetrius, when you think about it, next year has to be a change. And you have to start showing in these next 6 games, in my opinion, some big-time improvement in one particular spot, that quarterback position. You got to go into next year as a fan base, as a booster, as the money guys. You got to be able to know there's got to be some stability at that position. I mean, that is the most important position in all of football, be it whatever level. And second year, 4 guys, and nobody's really stood out. Has to be a major concern here at Arkansas.
It's not a concern to me. It boils down to the head coach can't make the decision that needs to be made. I was quiet on this comment as far as Chad Morris, but I'm really starting to question their integrity because I'm hearing comments such as, I don't want to put these freshmen out there too early. They may not be ready, and I don't want to mess up their confidence. What more confidence can you lose being 0-14 in the SEC?
Oh, absolutely.
The last 2 years.
Absolutely.
You've won 2 games. What what more confidence can you lose as a player when your team's getting embarrassed on national television? So I'm really starting to question some of these statements a lot of these coaches are saying as to the excuse of why these younger guys aren't getting on the field.
I totally agree with you. I think you're in a situation where you have to go to a youth movement. And real quick, we want to open up the phone lines and get you guys' thought. I mean, what's the temperament? Are things, is the honeymoon over with Coach Chad Morris and staff after, here in mid part of year 2, 6 games in? What's your thoughts? You can reach us here. You can email. You can chime in on our Facebook Live page or our YouTube Live page with any comments that you might have, or you can call us here and get in touch with Demetrius and myself at 479-601-7400. We want to hear from you, Razorback fans. We want to hear what the pulse is throughout the natural state. And, I got on watching Twitter Saturday. Man, that was brutal. That was absolutely brutal.
I mean, we deserve it because these coaches look like they don't know what they're doing. And when you have a guy that hasn't played quarterback at the college level and he comes in and shreds your defense,
right.
A lot of question marks go up. And not only did he not just shred our defense, they stifled our offense.
Right.
To me, I think, Chad's whole resume for coming in and getting the job here at Arkansas was he was a guru at the offensive coordinator position. And to me, he seems to be scared. He's running from calling plays because we've seen what Craddock's done. When I watched the Colorado State game, I don't know if you remember that. After that game, I had a long conversation with you, and I was on Craddock. He was like, well, no, he hasn't figured out the players yet. He needs a little bit more time.
Right.
But I honestly see that he is not built for this league. I'm not saying he's not a good coach. I'm not saying that he doesn't know what he's doing. I just don't think he's an SEC-ready coach. And the things that Chad Morris needs, he needs somebody that's seasoned that can not be a yes man, because right now, to me, Chad has a lot of guys that's around him that won't go against what his thoughts are. And you have to have guys like that on your coaching staff that don't always agree with what you think as a head coach, because a lot of what you're implementing and the things that you're saying, hey, this is what our identity should be, right, they don't fit the culture that we have right now. And if you don't make some type of upward trend as far as you winning or losing games, man, you won't be here to that year 5. Like, right, people keep saying, hey, if Chad can get to 3 and 4, he can make it. But like I said, if he can't win an SEC game and you turn around and lose to Western Kentucky, it's hard to. I don't care if you do have the 5th right, best class or the 6th best class. If you can't turn those classes into wins, it doesn't matter.
I do. I think we've been waiting far too long for a lot of the older guys to make plays on both the offensive and defensive sides of the ball. And I think when you're in the situation, and Chad made a really good statement that you're back, this program is backed in a corner, and the only way to get out of that corner is to continue to fight your way out. And I think, when you really break this team down, the big ingredient that's really holding this team back has to be the offensive line. I think, during the time when Kurt Anderson was the offensive line coach, those 2 years of recruiting really set this program back at that particular position. And you can't, in the SEC, have a deficiency, I should say, on the offensive or defensive line. You got to have some immediate guys that when they step on your campus, Demetrius, and for all viewers, you understand it's just going to be not the question of if, but can we keep them 4 years? You have to have those type of guys on your offensive line and in your defensive line. I think, they have some on the defensive line. I thought John Marshall, and I'll say this, I think John Marshall is going to have a fabulous rest of the season, and I think he's going to have a tremendous senior year next year if he decides to hang around at the University of Arkansas, because I saw a lot of aggression, a lot of disruptiveness in the way he plays the game of football. I just felt like they had a lot of activity going on, and I think, defensive line is going to really have to step it up. Senior Scooter Harris, and let's make no mistake about it, has not played up to the Scooter Harris that all Razorback fans are accustomed to. Felt like he's, just missing a little bit, but I think that comes with having maybe a couple more players, not to mention any names or anything, but have a couple more players that maybe you feel more comfortable with at that linebacker spot. I definitely feel like Arkansas has to get a lot bigger inside with Scooter Harris this year. The physical matchups just aren't meshing very well for this Razorback football team, and I just feel like you got to get more playmakers. I'm still baffled as to why Jalen Catalon has not had a chance to be in the back end. I think this guy's a built-in natural playmaker. Also want to make a note during the broadcast that true freshman cornerback sensation Devin Bush out of New Orleans, Louisiana, Edna High School has entered the transfer portal. Out of 6 games, got 10 snaps. Back on the back end, it's unfortunate, but we all have to understand the kids need to be in situations at institutions and in life to be happy. And I saw a lot of Demetrius. I saw a lot of bashing on social media. Grow up, people. You don't ever. I don't care how passionate you are for your university fan base. You don't get online and bash young men at the same time, because at the end of the day, these young men are becoming men. They're making grown-up decisions. I mean, if they don't want to be at your school, they don't want to be at your school. That's totally classless to get on social media and attack these kids. I mean, so just stop it. It's ridiculous. I mean, to me, like I said, it's insane. And there's no place for that. I mean, no place for it at all. I mean, these are humans, and there's a right to make your own decision. And if you don't like it, if you don't have anything good to say, just don't say it.
I know. I feel like fans forget that the kid has every right to do what's best for him, for their situation.
Right.
Because the fans do it, the coaches do it. Nobody complains when the coach finds a better job and leaves. But so many of the kids get the backlash when they make decisions that's best for them. So a lot of these kids come here, and that's not the fans' fault that a lot of these kids only come here to play football. That's just sometimes how situations end up with some of the upbringings and some of the situations that these kids are brought in.
Right.
So to me, you have to respect everybody's individual choices, because again, when coaches make these same choices, they don't get that type of lashback and feedback. And you got to understand, these kids aren't getting paid to be out here playing.
And then at the same time, I will. This is not a fire Chad Morris show here today. I mean, I do understand when you do take into account all the factors of very low numbers offensive line, you lose 30 plus. When you take the job, having to replace 52, so there's 85. Basically a whole team that you have to replace. I understand that. I get all that. But there's just been a couple of head-scratching issues in crucial moments that leave you baffled. I'm trying to understand why T.J. Hammonds misses 4 games. You were supposed to, reinstate him. He's barely touching the football. And this is a guy that you saw last year, even go back to that Colorado State game. This guy has some elusiveness, some game breaking, and big playability that I think you have to use. I think, with understanding Traylon Burks, it's just this, to me, offensively, they just are having a major problem with distributing the football and getting it to their playmakers. It's like, how sometimes you have so many brand new toys that you didn't have before, and when you get these brand new toys, you don't know which one to play with. So you try to play with all of them, but you focus on 1 to 2, and you still got these other ones that could be even better and just as good, but you just focus on 1 or 2. I think that's what's going on. I think, Saturday they were so locked in on getting the ball to Cheyenne O'Grady, getting the ball to Traylon Burks, and on occasion I thought they overpressed trying to get it to Mike Woods and also to Trey Knox. I mean, where's the screen passes? I think, to me, I think if you ran a screenplay with a Monte Spivey, a Devois Whaley, a Rakeem Boyd, or a Chase Hayden, you're going to get that front 7 or, that 8-man box to back up. Arkansas has got to be more creative, and I can't stress it enough, Demetrius. You and I talk about it at practice, in the games, after the games. The RPO game for this offense, which is what I agree with you. This is what this offense is predicated on. If you're Chad Morris, you have to have a running quarterback. They're just not getting that, and haven't had that out of the first 4 quarterbacks that they've tried out in this offense. KJ Jefferson, John Stephen Jones, 2 guys that I know that I've seen during fall camp and during I've seen John Stephen over the last two football seasons be very elusive, can continue to extend plays with their legs. I think that's the biggest thing also too missing with this offense. That's why I'm such a big proponent of playing those 2 younger guys, just to see if just that element of running, how much that will help this offense, Dimitri.
Yeah, that's why I haven't figured out why KJ hasn't touched the ball. For us to be an RPO team and say, hey, this is our bread and butter, we don't even have the guys in there with the skill set to do those things. And what baffled me is they was even willing to do a wildcat with Rakeem Boyd at the beginning of the year. You still don't give a quarterback that leads rushing for the state of Mississippi.
And you look at this,
It
Demetrius,
just
and
doesn't make sense.
You're going to run a
man.
Wildcat. Davion Warren played quarterback in high school. You know, that's who runs the Wildcat. Or a Traylon Burks, who's done some things like that during his high school career. But I tell you what, we're going to step away, and we got one special guest as the LSU Tigers had a colossal win in the SEC on Saturday, a big top 10 matchup as they beat the 7th-ranked Florida Gators 42-28. And then we're going to bring on Josh Lemoyne of the LSU football troop. We'll get his recap of this big ball game. And as we like to say, what is the temperature as it just gets a little bit tougher and means just a little bit more as they prepare. As you know, in the horizon, they got that big Alabama game. But first, we're going to talk to Josh about their big ball game coming up against the Mississippi State Bulldogs. We'll get all that here momentarily. But we caught up yesterday with defensive coordinator John Chavis. We'll let you hear his audio, and then we'll be back. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Let's get it.
One thing I will say is I think our kids competed. I think they played very hard. We had a couple of situations that didn't go our way in terms of one certain situation where, you know, we had a lack of communication, not a lack, but we busted a call and in terms of getting it in, and that one play made a difference, but there were other plays. But I thought our team played hard. Certainly there's some things here that we can build on, some things that we can learn from, and that's what we got to do. We got to move on and get ready for this Saturday. So I'll start taking questions now.
You hearing me, Mike? Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, Chief, what's your take on Bo Nix, true freshman? He's had some, we're obviously really good plays, had some freshman mistakes, pretty rough game in Florida. What's your take on him?
I think he's a very talented guy. Obviously, dual threat. He can beat you throwing. He can beat you running. He's a guy that you've got to account for in this offense, and their staff has done a good job preparing him to be ready to play in the SEC.
Coach, I know you guys were crowding more at the end, some bear front. Did you ever think just make this guy beat you with the pass and basically goal line him? I mean, with the success he was having running.
We did a good bit of that, throughout the game, and 65 or 70 yards came on, the last drive when we went out there, and I don't think we were mentally prepared to go back out there, but that's part of it, and he made a few throws in the game that were plays that made the offense stay on the field, made our defense stay on the field, and he also had some runs in passing situations that you got to be able to make those plays defensively, and we were not.
Chief, I had a couple. I saw Soley, I guess he got that boxing glove, whatever, wrap off his hand. How'd you think he played with that?
Welcome back. It's our Tuesday edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio as we come to you each and every day here on KDSJ 479. And real quick, before we get on with our featured guests and one of our big SEC featured matchups as the LSU Tigers will be taking on the Mississippi State Bulldogs, we want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Lindsay and Associates, with an office location in Fayetteville, an office location also too in Rogers. Locomotion is located just below the Northwest Arkansas Mall in Fayetteville. Corey Beck's Custom Painting. If you need anything, residential, commercial, contact Corey Beck, and I'm pretty sure you will not be disappointed. And lastly, the one I'm fond of, KDK's Chicken, located at 989 Razorback Road. Go down and see Keith and Kathy. Get your plate of that love, and like they say, it's not your mama's. The best chicken and waffles in the South. But we're going to make our way back down to the Bayou, Death Valley, that is, as the LSU Tigers took on the 7th-ranked Florida Gators, and they prevailed, which moved them up to the number 2 team in all of college football. So we thought we'd get our recap with the guy that knows all about the Bayou, Josh Lemoyne of LSU Football Troop. Josh, welcome back to OTH, my man.
Man, I'm glad to be back. It was a big, exciting weekend down in the Bayou. It was a spectacle honestly. So it was a good time.
Josh, talk about that game, and before we get into the Mississippi State game, I was watching that game, and it was back and forth, real tight game. But LSU and Joe Burrow made the plays that we've grown so accustomed this year to watching them make. Talk about some of the big plays, and what can they take out of this game heading into what may not be a bigger a just as tough opponent with Mississippi State. They seem to be down a bit this year, but talk about some of the big plays and the reasons why LSU was able to prevail in Death Valley on Saturday night.
Yeah, look, we've been hearing it right all year. Is LSU, this new offense came out. Is this offense real? So they jump out the gate first week against a smaller opponent, put up 50-something points. Then, okay, is it real? Let's play Texas, right? LSU offense looks the same against Texas. Then nobody really truly wants to buy in and say, we want to see it against an elite defense.
Right.
Florida has the best. And what happened, LSU looks, like you said, goes out there and looks pretty much the same, throws the ball around the yard. That was that's what I wanted to see one more time was, okay, Florida, there's some NFL dudes on that field.
Right.
I mean, there's no doubt they got NFL dudes in the secondary. Henderson is a first round pick, So for LSU to be able to move the ball like that, it had an offense that kind of kept rolling the way. I didn't expect 60 points. Florida's too talented for that. But for us to be able to put 42 points up and that offense to keep rolling, Joe looked great. That was the point where I said this offense is for real, and I think they could do this against Alabama, against Auburn. I think I'm not sure they're going to score 45 or 50, but they have the offense now to compete with Bama. You're not going to get a 29-0. You know what I mean? So that was the big key I took away from the game, and just how the offense was. It looks solid. Everything about they were able to run the football against Florida, which opened up the passing game. So overall, I just thought it was that last, whatever you want to call it, notch star that was like, hey, this is it. LSU's for real. And that's kind of the feeling I've got from NFL scouts and stuff talking to him. Like, hey, Joe's the real deal. He's a legitimate guy we're looking at in the first round now. So I think even the scouts wanted to kind of see it against an elite SEC defense.
When you looked at this game heading in, Josh, all through social media, you saw it on Twitter, Instagram, who was DBU? The kid that always seems to stick out to me each and every time I turn the TV on and LSU's on the football field, number 24, Derek Stingley Jr. This guy, to me, in my opinion, is the best cornerback right now and as a true freshman in the SEC. Talk about Derek's development so early in his freshman year. And, when you have a cornerback like Aranda does with Derek, how much of the field does that take away, and how much easier is it to call defensive formations?
Yeah, look, I think everybody knows if you got the shutdown guy, it makes calling plays easy, especially if you want to send the blitz like LSU had to do in the second half. Derek's been amazing. I don't know if you caught – I did kind of a breakdown before the season kicked off. I really took a deep dive into Stingley's high school film, and I left that saying, wow, he might be the best cornerback I've ever witnessed in high school.
Right.
I'm talking to Sean Taylor, a Charles Woodson. I was like, I left it with, after watching those guys. And I said, let's see how it plays out. Look, today, the AP released their mid-season All-American team. A true freshman, Stingley, is on that team, and that's very rare. You know that. That's extremely rare for a true freshman to make the All-American team midway through the season.
Absolutely.
So he's a Patrick Peterson, he's a Charles Woodson. He's one of those type guys, it's rare. So guys, LSU fans, enjoy the ride, enjoy it because, he's going to be the top 5 pick when he leaves. And you've seen early, look, they picked on him. They picked on him in that game, and they did, and I get that, and they should. He's a true freshman, but they kept going to the well, and they went to the well one too many times, and he made them pay. And that's what great players do.
Right.
It's football, and in this day and age, look, everybody's throwing the ball around the yard, so you're going to get beat. It's going to happen, but you got to have short memory. And you've seen Stingley in one of the biggest parts of the game. He was able to make a huge play.
Right. When you look at this upcoming game versus the Mississippi State Bulldogs, they're just coming off of a very disappointing loss to the Tennessee Volunteers. If you're LSU and Coach Ed Orgeron, the offensive and defensive staffs, coming off such a big win versus Florida, what are some of the things that you may worry about heading into this Mississippi State game, and what are some things that they have to do on both sides of the ball to remain undefeated and continue on for that big matchup they have in a couple of weeks versus the Crimson Tide?
Yeah, look, I mean, the average fan might not notice, but the last time LSU went into Mississippi State, we got embarrassed. We got beat down. You know, and now, granted, that was a different team with Simmons on the defensive line. They had 3 guys drafted in the first round, on the defensive line. So this ain't the same team. But believe me, a lot of these same players are on that team.
Right.
So they're not going to take it lightly. Coach O said in his press conference, the average fan sees LSU's rolling. They're ranked number 2 in the country. But these guys, don't forget, last time they went into Mississippi State, they got drugged and they got beat bad with all the cowbells and the noise. So I think in this situation, these guys, last time they played in here, it was heartbreaking. It was embarrassing. So I don't think Coach O is going to have a problem getting these guys ready to play. I think they want to return the favor. Speaking to a couple of the players and people around the program, that they want to return that favor, and they think they have the team to do it this year. So I don't think Coach O is going to have to worry about getting these guys up per se. This situation, I think it sets up well for LSU. Right. And these guys, if you hear Joe Burrow, he talked about it. He don't want to be good. He wants to be great. And I think that's the type of a leader that Joe, you see, he's become. He's a 5-year guy. He's 22 years old. He's a young man. So him to be able to speak as almost like a grown up as a coach to these guys, that's played a big plus into that. You can see he has control of the team. Right. It's he's another coach on the field. So that's been a big plus for LSU.
Talking with Josh Lemoyne of the LSU Football Truth. For those that have just tuned in to us here on our YouTube page, On the Hill Sports Talk LLC, Facebook Live, also to Spotify and iHeart. Josh, I want to talk about the head Tiger, and that being Ed Orgeron. I mean, how impressed are you that just a couple of years removed, you get rid of Les Miles and all the fan base, they want Jimbo Fisher. You almost have Jimbo Fisher, but then Jimbo wants a little bit more money. So he moves on, stays at Florida State. You go after Tom Herman. You don't get Tom Herman. And still the fan base is still yet upset. Ed Orgeron, to me, could not have been he is, to me, the best fit to be the head coach at LSU with his Louisiana ties. Talk about Coach O, and it just seems to me, as I watch social media, as the players like to say now, LSU seems to be the move, meaning, so many prospects want to head down there. You talked about a large mass of kids that made it to Death Valley for this past weekend's game. Talk about Ed and, just what's the general feeling as you see more and more kids start to gravitate to that university?
Yeah, I think initially when Ed got there, not everybody was on that train, right? Not everybody, because they wanted the big name, the splash, Jimbo Fisher, like you mentioned, Tom Herman, like you'd said. And I was always a Coach O guy. I liked him because I knew him, because he's a local guy. I mean, I knew who he was. I remember he was at USC. But if you didn't stay in the football necessarily, like myself, or you got to be a guy that really loved it, to know where Coach O had kind of came from under Pete Carroll. Right. Then he coached for the Saints. But when he got to LSU and they ended up giving him the job, I said this is going to go one way or the other. We're going to fall right back into the trap of like he was at Ole Miss. When it was his way or the highway, he was going to try to run it his way. Or he learned from Pete Carroll and he learned from his situation at Ole Miss, and he's going to bring in the guys that know the X's and O's and let him stick to his strength. Coaching defensive line and motivation and keeping an energy high level. He's good in front of the camera. The parents absolutely adore him and love him for every recruit, because he's not fake. He is who he is. He's a country Cajun boy from Bayou, and that's what you're going to get. So as he brought in Joe Brady, as he brought in Coach Aranda, they extended him and kept him there. Right. He's humbled himself. Look, he's humbled himself and understands where his strengths are. His strengths are coaching defense line, coaching defense, and recruiting. I mean, he's a stud recruiter. And using that personality and his experience, now you see the players buying in. And Joe's letting Coach Ensminger and Joe Brady run the offense, and they're doing one hell of a job, right? So, Coach Aranda is going to do his thing on defense, and he picks his spots. He picks his spots now where he wants to, to put his words in. If you watch him at Ole Miss, it was a disaster at times. It was him. He was trying to coach quarterbacks. He even said this. I was trying to coach quarterbacks. He said, I don't know the first thing about quarterback. I was out there coaching, so he learned from his past, and that's good. That's what we want to do. So overall, man, I think pretty much the state has bought into it, because it's hard not to love Coach O, and he's winning on top of that, yeah, things are trending in the right direction.
We got about a minute and a half left, Josh,
Okay.
in this segment, but I want you, before you leave, to give me your offensive player of the game, your defensive player of the game, and the final score as the LSU Tigers travel to Starkville to take on the Mississippi State Bulldogs.
Yeah, I got to watch them Mississippi State film yesterday. I watched them a couple games. Look, I think on the defensive side of the ball, they threw, I think, three interceptions against Tennessee. On the defensive side of the ball, I'm gonna go with Stingley. I think Stingley has maybe another interception or two. Yeah, and I just think he continues to do his thing. He's getting an interception every week.
Right.
And the Mississippi State quarterbacks are going to give him an opportunity for a couple more, in my opinion. Look, on the offensive side of the ball, it's hard not to go with Joe, but I like let's go with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, man. He had a hell of a game against Florida, and he's starting to really turn it on. Averaged 10 yards a carry against that, and he's really hitting his groove. So, I think maybe Clyde might see him do 150, a couple touchdowns,
right.
And overall, I think. Look, I don't like to predict high scores, nothing too crazy, but I definitely can see LSU dropping low 50s, maybe like a 52 to 21 type game. It's just setting up to be like that. Look, Vegas has got them almost a 20-point favorite, so that's kind of how I see it.
I can see that with that offense. Yep. You all knew that all they needed, if a quarterback ever showed up and LSU could get that passing game going, that they would be a very elite SEC program, and it looks like that's what's happening. But, hey, my man, thanks for taking time out here. We love your insight. I'm pretty sure as I'll be calling you and having you on once again next week, it's like you say in the SEC, it just means more. But for now, Josh, thanks for taking time out here on OTH, my man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. That was Josh Lemoyne of the LSU Football Truth, giving us his take on the second-ranked and LSU Tigers, and someone I think has a real good chance to, put a high bid in for Joe Burrow and the Heisman Trophy. I'm telling you, I agree with Josh. The kid's having an amazing senior year, but we caught up also, too, with offense coordinator, quarterback coach Joe Craddock. We'll let you hear what he has to say, and then Demetrius and I will come back and wrap this thing up. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Let's get it.
I think this kid, number 5, is probably the best interior defensive lineman we've ever faced or ever seen on film. He's very powerful. He's strong. He's quick twitch. He gets off blocks very easily. He does a really good job. You see in the Florida game, he picks up a fumble, and he's really fast down the sideline like a running back. So he's a really good player, and we're going to have to be ready for him.
When you went back and looked at Nick's performance, was it something mechanical that was going on with his performance, or was there something psychologically that was happening with Nick?
Well, a lot of the things, that Nick, missed was, RPO game, some play actions. And those is just, we got to make sure we buzz our feet and open our hips and open our front foot. And a lot of time Nick was throwing across his body, and that's something we're constantly working on with him. He'll get better at it, but those were the times, we felt like he maybe threw the ball a little bit behind his receiver when we thought he had him. So Nick's very aware of it. We work it, we're starting, working it every day, worked it yesterday, so he'll continue to get better with that.
Yeah, I know obviously you guys didn't want to make throw picks, and he didn't throw any picks the other night, but do you think maybe he has that in his head, like don't throw a pick, and that was maybe affecting his throwing? It was something in his mind? Or?
Yeah, it could be a little bit of that. I thought he did a nice job of taking care of the ball the other night. Something we've obviously been harping on with him, and obviously we didn't turn the ball over the other night, which is something we've been talking about that for a while. So. As long as we take care of the football, we feel like we get a good chance to win. Obviously, we had a chance to win in the fourth quarter and didn't get it done. So, I thought he did a nice job of doing that.
Coach Traylon's still young, obviously, and still having some problems with the linemen and all that kind of stuff. But how far off is he, just from the playmaking skills that he has, how far off are you guys from integrating more of him into the offense, whether it's lining up in the backfield, just getting the ball in his hands more?
Yeah, I've said that a lot. I'm with you on that. We got to try to get him the ball as many times as we can. And he's obviously proven to be a very dynamic player with the ball in his hand. You see him on the punt return. kind of toying with the guy and then hitting the sideline. You know, he's very dynamic, and we tried to, you know, a couple of things the other night to get him the ball. Didn't work out very good, but you know, just constantly thinking about different ways of getting him the ball and trying to be creative. Again, he is young, like you said, he's young, and he's trying to still learn how to line up. You saw the other night too, you know, at the right on the snap, he's still getting on.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. It's our Tuesday edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio, and we're brought to you each and every day here from KDSJ 479, Tuesday through Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. Monday, we have each and every Monday, we have a 30-minute show during the football season. As football season concludes, we'll go back to a 1-hour show on Mondays as well. But we just wrapped it up. For those that have just tuned in, talk with Josh Lemoyne of LSU Football Truth. Got all the Bayou Bengals updates, their big win versus the Florida Gators and their upcoming contest, big SEC West matchup at Starkville, Mississippi versus the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Also, too, you heard offensive coordinator Joe Craddock. I don't know, Demetrius. I don't know. I continue to break down this offensive game and this program. A lot of question marks. A lot of things I have to say. I mean, when you cover a program as we have, and it goes back to 2012, and they've only won 13 conference games. 46 times they've left the field as a losing team. There's only so much you can say. There's only so many ways that you can break it down. And I feel that, and I understand that the coaching staff, if I feel that way, then they have to feel that way. But, you know, when you're in a corner like that, and I know people get tired of hearing us say this, youth movement at certain spots, it has to take place. I mean, it just has to. If it doesn't, I mean, you know, this ship is sinking. It's got lots of holes in the ship. Did I see Arkansas after 6 games being 2-4? No, I didn't. I didn't see them losing to Ole Miss. Didn't see the San Jose State loss. Felt like they could possibly go to Kentucky and win. All those things didn't happen. And throughout the year, it's just been the little things, you know, little things that are preventing this football team from getting another conference win. I mean, they hadn't tasted conference winning since 2017, the Ole Miss game. I mean, this team is 1-18 in their last 19 conference games. Just not up to the standard that that the Razorback fan base expects. But I mean, there's a long way to go. So fans that don't think it's going to end anytime soon. I mean, Arkansas is going to have to recruit themselves out. I want to see this senior class go out the right way and play the right way and pick up some wins. You know, if anything, just pick up some wins. Finish strong. Leave a legacy that you were able to win out. Win the games. Just win a few of them. I think this team with 6 games left at 3, I just don't see it. Maybe Mississippi State, maybe Western Kentucky. They may be favored in those 2 games, but outside of that, I mean, they're going to be the underdog in 4 probably of the remaining six games that they have, and rightfully so, as it's been a program that's been very fragile. But hopefully, I mean, I don't know. I'm just looking and trying to figure it out today, Demetrius. I'm still just baffled by the things that's taking place. But that's going to wrap up today's show. We'll be back with much more, much Razorback talk, a little recruiting we're going to throw in there tomorrow. We've got to keep you up to date with how the Diamond Gang is forming for Chad Morris. As he lost a couple, but can he pick up a few more? We'll talk to some of those guys and just see where Arkansas sits as far as their recruiting and all the options that they have on the college collegiate football level. But I want to give a shout out to my guest, Josh Lemoyne of the LSU Football Truth, for his take on the LSU Tigers recap with the Florida Gators, and also looking ahead to this weekend's contest versus the Mississippi State Bulldogs. I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Lindsay and Associates, with an office location in Fayetteville, an office location also to in Rogers. Locomotion, located just below the Northwest Arkansas Mall in Fayetteville. Corey Beck's Custom Painting, residential, commercial, anything you need to look good. Contact Corey Beck, and I know you will not be disappointed. And lastly, KDK's Chicken. It's located at 989 Razorback Road. Go see Keith and Kathy and get you a plate of that love. As they say on their truck, it's not your mama's. And I can vouch for that. The best chicken and waffles in the South. But until tomorrow, from my producer, Demetrius, and myself, to you all. You guys have a blessed one. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Let's get it.